Most people who have been trying to break into the data field, but they do not know which road to go for. And in this video, I'll be walking you through the differences between those three major roles in data: data analyst, data scientist, and data engineer roles. Stay tuned. Welcome to Data Think Box. As someone who has worked in the different data roles, data analyst, data engineer, and data scientist role, I understand how confusing it can be to decide which of these roles is best suited for you. And in this video, I'll walk you through how to decide what rules to look out for, what the job tasks are, what your daily activities will be in these rules, what selection criteria should you use to decide on which one is most suitable for you. So the way I'll structure this video is that I'll walk you through the different roles and the different daily tasks that they do. And after going through that, we'll go into the selection criteria that tells you what specific factors should you consider when deciding which role to go for, and you can tailor it down to the specific needs that you want. Let's dive in. And the first role that I'll be talking about is the data engineer role. The data engineer role is at the top of the value chain when it comes to working with data. These guys are responsible for extracting data from the source system, storing it into your enterprise databases or data warehouses, and making sure that this data is ready for use for other roles. So the data engineer is responsible for making sure all your system applications like HubSpot, Excel, all of that, the data is properly stored and collected and always available to whoever that will be using it. Some of the core skills that you need to excel in the data engineer role include programming and scripting skills like Python, SQL. You also need to have a good knowledge of data warehousing skills. This can be data warehousing, any cloud application, Databricks, Microsoft Fabric, Oracle data warehouses, because this gives you an idea of how to store your data and make it readily available to whoever that will need it. Then you also need to have an understanding of the data you are working with, know what's the best way to store it and make it easily accessible to people. The day-to-day activities of a data engineer include cleaning and transforming data, collecting data using API, database connections, making sure the data is appropriately stored, checking for data quality issues in your data to make sure that your data is accurate, complete, timely, and all of that. So these are the key essential skills for a data engineer. Moving on to the next role, the data analyst. This is where the data role gets closer to the customer. The data analysts pick up data from the data engineers and try to create value on this data. And this could involve creating dashboards for the end user, trying to understand what business metrics are being measured and how to represent that in a visual, doing some EDA to understand the data better. The core skills that you need for a data analyst role include SQL skills, which will be very useful for your data transformation. You also need to have data visualization skills. It can be Power BI, Tableau, Google Studio, whichever one. This depends on what your organization is using. And then you also need to have a good communication and customer facing skills, because this is where you understand the customer requirements, know what they want, and know how to deliver it to them, on how also how to communicate your product to them, which is quite important. The next role that I'll be talking about is the data scientist role. In this role involves creating AI models on your data to have a very good understanding of what's going on behind the scenes in your business. These models could be predictive model, descriptive models, or diagnostic models to understand what metrics are applicable in your business, why things are changing, what kind of predictions you can do on your data. They also collect data from the data engineers. This is why I said data engineer is the first point in your data value chain. These are the things you need to know as a data scientist: statistics, programming skills, machine learning skills. Some of the selection criteria you can use to determine which data role is more suitable for you include the following. Number one is the salary. When it comes to the data roles, the data analyst role pays a lower salary compared to the data engineer and the data scientist role. If you do a baseline comparison of entry level roles, the average price For the data analyst role, it's usually lesser than the data engineer and the data scientist role. And this is because the data engineer and data scientist role are quite more demanding in the workflow, in what you need to do, and the level of technical capability is much higher, which justifies the reason for the higher pay for these roles. But those salary changes as you climb up the corporate ladder, because as you get to a more senior level role, the differences between this salary might not be so obvious. The next criteria to consider is your experience level. If you are new to the data field, the data analyst role has a lower barrier to entry, because what you need to learn is a data visualization tool, and that should be enough to get you an entry level role. But when it comes to data engineering, you need to learn a bit more than that. You need to know SQL, Python, you need to know about data warehousing, databases, cloud services, and a whole lot more. And the same thing applies to the data scientist role, where you need to know about AI, predictive modeling, fine tuning an AI model, the parameterization of AI models, and creating a deployment interface for your models. The level of knowledge and expertise required is much higher for data engineer and data scientist roles. In terms of technical capability, just like you heard previously, the data analyst role needs you to just be good in a few skills like scripting, programming, and data visualization. But when you start talking about data engineering, you need to know about Python language, Spark processing, data warehousing, databases, and a whole lot more. And the same thing can be said about data scientists. You need to know about how to build an AI model, a machine learning model. You need to know how to deploy these models. You need to know how to fine tune them to know which model works best and in what scenarios they do work better. And you also need to conduct things like A B testing to know how users interact with these models and what kind of results they get with it. Technical capabilities are much higher for the data engineer and the data scientist role than data analyst role. The next factor to consider is your location. Some locations are more favorable to the data analyst role, because the data analyst role is where most value is delivered to most businesses. People want to read through their data and start creating visualizations. The demand for data analysts is much higher, especially for medium and small scale companies, because they do not have the investment to start building a proper data architecture. Their data isn't sufficient to run machine learning models on them, because these organizations run on small scale data. So they can get away with just getting a data analyst and getting them to run visualizations for them. But when you start looking at the bigger companies and enterprises, they manage larger number of data sets, they manage more infrastructure, more applications. They tend to need more data engineers than those small and medium scale companies. And these data engineers, they come in and organize their data more appropriately. And when this data is organized, they also have the need for data scientists who will come over and build analytic models or predictive models on their data. Having an understanding of what location and what industries are playing in your location, it gives you a better idea on what to go for. The next bit of criteria to consider is the industry you would like to operate in. There are various industries out there. There is manufacturing, healthcare, IT, and what have you. These different industries, they've got the different needs for data. The manufacturing industry is more interested in how to make predictions on their manufacturing process, on their value chain process, which means they'll be more interested in having a data engineer and a data scientist, because the data engineer consolidates all their data and prepares it for the data scientist. Meanwhile, a business that runs in the healthcare industry, they are not so much interested in predictive models. They want analytical solutions. They just want to see how many customers are coming in, what kind of illnesses are they treating more often, and all of that. So they tend to need more data analysts than any of the other roles. Your knowledge of an industry or your interest in an industry will also help you decide which of these roles will be more suitable for you. Now that you know what these roles are and what they do and what it entails, you can apply these selection criteria to determine what's more suitable for you. Are you interested in the salary? What level of experience have you got? What industry are you interested in? What location are you? All of these things, they can all factor in to help you decide which of these data role is more suitable for you. Do you want to be a data analyst that creates visuals and delivers value for end users? Or do you want to be a data engineer who runs in the background, who makes sure that all the data needed by the enterprise is ready and prepared? Or do you want to be a data scientist who makes predictive models on this data and helps the businesses to make decisions based on this model? So all of these are the things you need to consider to make a better decision. Let me know if this video was helpful to you. For more videos like this, please like, share, and subscribe. And let me know if you have any questions or any topic you would like me to discuss about. Cheers.